All right, first of all, I always love to start off here on the Turnaround Podcast with saying the half Edatonian, half Dermite. To the followers of the Turnaround Podcast, I just want to shout all you guys out and just say I appreciate you for the likes, the shares, the follows. We got a real special episode this go around here. Like I said, all our guests are special, but this particular episode is special to me simply because I got both my biological sisters here today. Kristal Songbyrd, Jordan, and Brooklyn Cooper. I have no words really to express because this is the first time we've done this. To have both my baby sisters here is monumental. So with that being said, for those who don't know, tell us about yourself real quickly, whatever you want to say. Who want to start off? Kristal, Brooke, or let me say like this. All right, Brooklyn. I'm going to start off with my baby sister, Brooke. 2019 UNC graduate, journalism. Okay, so huge and humongous respect from my way. That's huge. Bilingual, fluent in Spanish, super impressive, and I've done some traveling. Yeah, I love it. It's great. I admire both of you. And Kristal.
You.
Kristal, a nurse, love to help people, and a singer. Yeah, like our dad would say, a marvelous singer at that. Yeah, my sister got that voice. And a mother, right? My nephew Josh raised a fine young man. And I ain't just saying it because he's my nephew, but like I tell him, I'm proud of him because of his decision making and what he's got going on in his life. Majored in communications, play those instruments. What's the when he blow into it and
Euphonium. He started with the trumpet and then he went to the euphonium, which is
see I couldn't have
to me
said
it's
none of
like a
that.
French horn. It's like that.
That's what's up. All right, but in your own words, neither one they can go first, but just for those who don't know who you are, just tell them about yourself.
Okay. My name is Kristal. I love the Lord. I'm a nurse. I do love to help people. I'm a wife. Been married for going on 17 years. I've been a nurse for 18, RN for 6. So pretty much almost 20 years I've been taking care of people. And even before that, I was taking care of people. So it was a natural transition. Yeah, I love music. It's always been a part of my life. And I write songs, I write poetry. I've actually recorded one song that I plan to re-record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to hear it. That's what's up. Yeah. Superb. Brooks, on you.
I'm Brooklyn. Like you already said, a UNC graduate. Dibbled and dabbled in a lot of things. My degree's in journalism. Now I work in sales. I'm an auntie to 2 nephews. And I like yoga. I like writing. Recently, I started serving in the production ministry at my church. So I do the lower thirds and graphics and stuff people see when they stream service. I'm a movie buff. And I'm a Dermite, full Dermite. Born and raised. Lived in Dallas for 2 years, so I do have a little piece of myself there.
Right.
But yeah, that's about me in a nutshell.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome, to say the least. Both of you. We all go through different journeys, living this thing they call life. I'm grateful for it, the gift of life. Again, this is the first time that I've gotten both my sisters together. So this is just, my emotions are all over the place. But that's a good thing. So Kristal and I, we share the same dad, for those who don't know. Brooklyn and I, we share the same mom, for those who don't know. But I never get into some people say they got half brothers and half sisters. I've never gotten into that. Y'all my sisters. And you guys, the way you love me is, I don't know if I have any words to express or explain it, but I'm going to try. The way you guys love me is like gigantor. That's what come to my mind. The sibling love is a great love. So to have both of you here, like I said, this is this was a special episode right here. The turnaround is about sports. Okay, so we hoop over here. Real quickly, how you guys feel about sports, and do you have a sports background yourself?
I like sports for the most part. I like to watch basketball. I played a little bit, but I didn't feel like I wanted to be on the team or anything like that. But here and there, I was hitting some shots.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's right.
Okay, baller.
I wouldn't go that far. But I hit a few shots,
Yeah.
like intramurals and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I was a cheerleader in school, so
Okay.
I like that aspect of it. I guess that's an extension of the encourager in me. So I enjoy being able to go to all the games for free, number one. And two, I just like cheering for my team or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, I like sports. I like basketball. I like track and field. I like football. But I'll be honest, I only watch the Super Bowl for the halftime show.
Okay.
So,
Hey,
so it is what it is. So I'll say I like basketball better than most of the other sports, and then there's track and field.
I love the track and field athletes. I love the NFL athletes, football players, volleyball players. I'm a sports junkie pretty much. Y'all already know
I
that.
like swimming too, ice
Yeah.
skating.
You know, our aunts, they hoop in high school. Yeah, yeah. So it runs in the bloodline. Sports, I definitely would say, brings people together for the most part. A lot of people are into hockey. I've never been to a live hockey game yet, but I respect hockey players too because first of all, everything they doing is on ice. Then they got all that equipment on, and it's a collision sport like football. Imagine football on ice with that equipment on. They some serious athletes in their own rights. But yeah, Brooklyn. Sorry, sports. Talk to me.
I feel like I was listening to Kristal's answer and we're in the same boat. Like, I watch the Super Bowl, but I like watching for the commercials. Normally, the commercials are funny.
Commercial.
And because, like, the advertisers, whoever's advertising the Super Bowl, they, like, put their best, funniest content out. That's, like, the thing because they have most of the nation watching. That's an advertising thing. But anyway, in my little
get it.
communications background. Also the halftime show, depending on who's performing.
Right.
But I do some sports. I enjoy watching basketball. I also was a cheerleader. I cheered all through high school, middle school, and high school. I like watching football, but football is one of those sports where I have to know who's playing. If it's just a random game on, I'm not going to watch it. I need to have an investment.
Right.
Same for soccer. I would
Right.
watch soccer if I know who's in there. I'm not a baseball fan.
Me either.
I go to baseball for the atmosphere, but I'm definitely not watching the game. It's too slow for me.
Right.
It's-
Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
support them Durham Bulls though. You know.
Yeah. Love going to a Bulls game. But
Yep.
it's just, I feel like I need something where something's always going on. And with baseball, it's more stop and go. Since the Olympics just ended, I'm a very big gymnastics fan. I love
Yes.
watching gymnastics, especially with the team that we have. Our women's team was like
Right.
phenomenal.
Yes.
Love Simone Biles.
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't say I'm a big sports fan, but I enjoy it. I like watching it. Yeah.
That's what's up.
hmm
And then sports running outside of the family also.
Now, that's what I was going to say, because you said y'all got hoopers on y'all's side. That was not me. I did play basketball in second grade, and our mom was actually the coach of that team. I played for, a little, like, rec league. I made one basket the whole season, and it was in the other team's goal. So after that, I benched myself. Like, mom was encouraging me, and I was just like, I don't think this is my
made the basket.
thing.
See,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't even know
did
that.
make it.
You did.
So, yeah, that's when I was like, I did soccer the rest of elementary school, and then I switched to cheer, and that's when I was like, okay, this is fun.
Yeah.
hmm
So you both cheerleaded in high school.
Yeah. In
Uh,
those schools.
I did not know that about you, Kristal.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Yeah. See, I learned something new. That's what's up. Cheerleading. You have to. Now, Brooke, I did at one point. I was thinking you was gonna take it, but you was like, nah. The tumbling aspect of it.
I feel like I started too late, because at my middle school, we weren't really like a tumbling cheer team. We did cheers, we did a little bit of stunts, and then when I got to high school, really not until my junior year, we didn't have any girls that did tumbling. And then I was, that's cool. And I started taking a class, but all the girls in the tumbling school I went to were a lot younger. And I was just like, I felt a little bit I think I was embarrassed in a way because it was like such a big age gap. I did learn how to do a back handspring, but I didn't stick with it long enough to, like, now I couldn't do it. And then when I got to college, I did like intramural gymnastics, but I
Okay.
didn't realize, I don't know if this is how sports were, or all intramural sports are, but at UNC, they don't have coaches. It's just student led. So I didn't really have someone to help me. So I went to 2 practices and I was just, and then I just dropped it. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's still just awesome in itself because you could. One of many reasons why I always tell him I'm so proud of him because at his age he could be out there doing other things. And I'm talking about getting in trouble, but instead, college graduate, got him a degree. You know what I mean, and was radio talk show host on the radio.
Yeah, he did 4 years of learning radio and hosting the morning gospel show every Sunday while he was at ECSU.
Right.
He was, what was her name? Sheila Lee. She trained him pretty much to take her job when she retired. And so he loved it. He was a
Right.
natural. He just has that love for radio, and he has the voice for it too.
Right.
I was talking to Brooke about that earlier. I was like, I feel like that's just his thing. And so he pursued communications, and that's what his degree is in.
Right.
Yeah, so hopefully that avenue will open up for him more because it seems like he had a bit of a struggle with finding employment in radio
Right.
when he got his degree. Currently, he just got his CDO license.
Okay.
So he's going to be driving those 18-wheelers.
Um, I tell him don't give up on it. And I tell him just keep plugging at it. And eventually he might have to get to a point where he might even have to relocate if the opportunity emerges. Because you're right, he has the personality and the voice for it. That's his thing. He just can't sweep it under the rug. Like I tell him, ain't nobody else gonna believe in his dream or his vision but him. So he's gotta find a way to put energy towards it and push towards it full steam ahead. So I do got some questions that I'm gonna get into for you guys. And like I say, just remember, I want you guys comfortable with whatever you feel comfortable with sharing. Please do. So let me see, Brooke, I got a question for you, baby girl. Great question too. So, as my baby sister, we grew up in the same house, right? What was your perception of me growing up?
Wow. What was my perception of you? I feel like growing up, we did grow up in the same house, but there is such a big age gap between us that I always tell people I was the only child in my household because you were 20 when I was born.
21, 20. Yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah, and you know where I was at when you was born, right?
Yeah, I do. But of course, you were there a lot of the time. I just thought you were cool. Like when I was really young, I feel like you were always playing basketball. So mom would take me to your games and stuff. And then that period of time when you were overseas, I was like, oh, my brother's out of the country. And then I remember there were times like when mom would ask you to watch me, we would be on the bus, like going places. And just, I feel like anytime I was with you was more like an adventure. So I felt like I always had fun because it was like, oh, what are me and Squirt going to do today? So that's how I thought of you when I was younger.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. Okay. Yeah. Real quick. At the time of your birth, right? I tell this story all the time. But I was incarcerated when you was born, right? And this is the funny aspect of it, the funny thing about it. So they come and get me off the yard. And they took me to see my caseworker because it was on a weekday. They come and get me. And when I sat down in his office, he asked me if I knew a Brooklyn Denise Cooper. Who was that? I just looked at him and I was like, I don't know a Brooklyn Denise Cooper. And the next thing I said to him, just the man lost his professionalism. He just died laughing. So I said, no, I don't know a Brooklyn Denise Cooper. I said, why? Is she pressing charges against me or something? I mean, and he lost his professionalism. He just fell out laughing. And that's when I learned she was born into the world.
Wow.
You know, and
Poor Brooke.
yeah, you know what I mean? So,
You know, the cute.
right. You know, because I had a lot of stuff going on back then. Again, well, I'm proud of my nephew. But yeah, so when he finally told me, then emotionally, I lost my composure. And that was probably only the second time that I cried the whole time I was in the prison system. But he actually allowed me to gather myself before I go back out into the population, because that's not the environment to show emotions and feelings and tenderness. You know what I mean? That's You don't do that unless you want to become a prey.
Wow.
But that's nice to learn that. And Kristal, so even though you and I didn't grow up in the same house, we always stayed in contact. And I would spend my summers in Edenton, right? And we got an opportunity to hang out as brothers and sisters and play as kids. So, question for you too: what was your perception of me as we was growing up as kids? Tell it.
I looked up to you. I was excited when I found out that you were in town because I was the only child in our household at that time. My little brother hadn't come along yet. So when I found out that you were here, it was like, oh, I'm gonna get to see my brother.
Yeah.
So it was like I just looked up to you. I felt like you were my protector. I felt, yeah, you were just like a superhero. And I can remember a couple times where there was some things that happened. We lived in what they call the projects in Edenton. And he would come over and stay with us. And I was outside playing, whatever. I don't know what happened. But anyway, it was some boy that took something that belonged to me or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to tell my brother. And so I went and found him and I told him what happened. And then he went and you beat him up. It was two separate instances, but you beat both of them up. And you threw a piece of glass and hit one of them on the ankle or somewhere on the lower leg. And he was all to pieces and crying and stuff. And he went back and told his family and whatnot. And it was like, he didn't get in trouble because my dad was like, well, he ain't had no business messing. So anyway, it was just to know that I could rely on you to help me in a situation where I felt powerless.
Wow.
It was great to me because I never forgot it. And just not everybody has that experience. I feel like, yeah, I looked up to you like a superhero in a way.
I never knew that. Never knew that. But as the only thing I can say to that is it's an inherent thing, I guess, being the oldest. Yeah. People in the world can be cruel and can be mean. And I know guys who are mean and disrespectful, you know what I'm saying, with women and females. And I always tell those dudes, sometimes a little politely, but I mean what I say. You the type of dude I warn my sisters about, because I come and get you. The way they think and how they perceive women, that's just when fellas get together, how fellas talk. And those type of dudes, I say to them this, I say, you don't have younger sisters or you don't have sisters, period. And you definitely don't have daughters, because for you to think the way you think and something ain't right with you. Yeah, and I clean your clock. But yeah, and then coming on this episode with you guys too, I said I was gonna y'all know I got a dirty mouth, but I said I was gonna make a conscious effort of not to talk filthy, because I know y'all audience don't want to hear no filth. So out of respect for them, I said I won't go. Yeah, but I never knew those things. So learning that from you guys is special, and that's what the turnaround is all. That's what the turnaround is about. The turnaround is many things. It's a gift. It's many gifts in just one gift. And the thing about it, it has no time stamp, because it's gonna be here to turn around. So I said I got a couple questions for you guys, and I feel like these are some very great questions. Kristal, back to you real quick. With you saying how you felt about me as it was coming up, when I wasn't around, I guess being the only child in the household for a while until our little brother Travis came along, how was that feeling like?
A little lonely. Sometimes I felt like people only noticed me because of you sometimes. Like when I started to get a little bit of size. But like before T came along, yeah, a little lonely. I had toys and stuff, and I would go out and play with other little girls or whatever, but it wasn't the same per se. So yeah, I would say a little bit lonely.
Yeah, yeah, I was up here in Durham, and I had my little G.I. Joe action figures. Back then, you had to use your imagination.
Yeah.
I had a collection of toys, Legos, Micro Machines, Transformers. Then the Atari came out.
The what?
The
Atari.
Atari.
Oh,
Video
the
game.
game. Yeah.
It's like in the early '80s, mid '80s when the Atari came out. But we still literally I was outside, but yeah, when I would come to Edenton back then, I look forward to seeing you too because we was in two different parts of the state. Yeah, when those times was I didn't like some of those moments in Edenton because I wasn't with our dad family or my mama family. I was elsewhere. You know what I mean? Those wasn't good times for me because I'm learning about our aunts a little later as we get older, just because how things were. But yeah, and learning that we got aunts that played high school basketball but it says a lot, like how the sports run in the bloodline. Aunt Gail, we went and got some shots up one day, and she could shoot. Yeah, Brooke, I got another question for you. Yeah, I think this is a good one too. I don't know if I've ever asked you anything like this before, but knowing my background away from basketball on the other side of things, like being in prison when you was born, once you learn about my experiences before you was born, once you learned about those experiences, how did that make you feel?
That is a good question. I don't think I ever really thought about it in a negative way. I think partly because it was normalized, and not to say it was normalized in a way like, oh, it's okay to be there, but I think that like when mom did talk about it, it wasn't like in a way to shame you. It's just, this is what happened. This is why he's there. So, you know how some parents talk to their kids and they like sugarcoat things so they don't really have a real perception of reality. I think she just came at it very straightforward. So
Ah,
I never really, I don't think I felt a type of way about it. It was just, this is what it is. And then, of course, like when I got older, like maybe high school, and I started to learn like the hard truths about the world and like why there's so many like black men like disproportionately in the prison system and things like that. And like I honestly the first I think awakening moment, if I want to call it, that I had is in my it was maybe like ninth or 10th grade English class whenever Trayvon Martin got killed,
oh
and I
yeah,
was
yeah,
just like, whoa. And it seemed like it was a one time thing, but then I realized that's what happens. Unfortunately, it never really shaped my perception of you. I just knew it was something that happened.
yeah.
Mm.
And Crystal, what about you? Same question. Like, how did that make you feel once you learned about it? Because at some point you had to learn about it. But once you found out that, especially because we was young. But yeah, how did you feel about it?
I don't think I saw you in a negative light either. I just was like, he must have been defending himself. I mean, I just try to see the bright side of things, even though I didn't even really know all the details about what went down. I just knew that I hoped that you would be okay while you were away. I was sad.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was just hopeful that you would come home soon. And it was comforting to be able to write letters.
Yep. Yep.
I still remember that. But yeah, it was like, man, I'll be glad when he gets out because
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. Like not being able to see or talk to someone when you want to. You take that for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
Basic freedom.
Right.
But yeah, I never saw you in a negative light. I just was like, I hate to be whoever was on the receiving end of what took place. But yeah, I hope you get home soon, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah. One thing about it, I don't think Brooklyn has ever seen that side of me, and I pray she never has to. But when it comes to defending either one of you, my younger sisters, for me, it's nothing to think about. So that person they'd have to be willing to go some places. For me, that's easy when it comes to defending my younger siblings, period. But again, that's just something that's inherited. But those are some interesting things that I just learned from you guys that I didn't know. So with that being said, Krista, I know you've been following the turnaround. Brooke, I think you've probably gotten to a few episodes. Was there anything that either one of you learned about me that you didn't know from the turnaround?
I can go. I think the first episode I listened to was the first episode you had put out, the turnaround, and that's when you were talking about growing up in Durham, specifically when it was just you and Terrell, our other brother, before I was even thought of. And I didn't realize really the trauma you went through with mom's first husband
Yeah.
and the things that he did to you. And but I think like me listening to that, it put a lot of things into perspective. And the funny, not really funny, but I guess the coincidental thing is that mom told me how he was, but not in relation to you. She was telling me about things where sometimes they might be out together and he would be upset if, say, a guy was looking at her and she's, I can't control who looks at me. So I think just like those behaviors, unfortunately, that was like his personality type to just be mean, like how you're saying some people are
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize like you went through so much as a kid.
That shapes us. And that's the primary reason why I have a short fuse with other dudes. And it's something that I work very hard at trying to control because of those felony charges that I catch, and they give me them outrageous bonds that I can't make. So it's something that I work extremely hard with, my temperament. It's like I said, it's like living with a disease. You know what I mean? As I've gotten older, I've gotten far way better with it, managing my attitude and my temperament, because I was just quick to fly off the handle and difficult to control. And I'm very lucky and very fortunate to be here with you guys today, because I know there should have been times I didn't come out those situations, but I did. But yeah, Kristal, did you learn anything? But we so close in age, but we was just always in two different parts of the state for much of the years. So yeah, did you learn anything new?
Brooke said what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
I wasn't here.
That's
I was just
real.
like, wow.
You're fine. You gave language to what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was like that because we didn't really talk about that.
Right.
When you would come to Edenton, it was more like, it's party time. We gonna have some fun. We about to go some places and all that. And we gonna eat good. Because when my mom would or my dad would take me to Miss Wee's house and she would cook and listen.
Yeah. Yeah. The E Town. Edenton, what up?
I love going to Miss Wee's house.
Yeah.
But yeah, we never talked about it. I did not know what you experienced. And it made me sad because I'm pretty sure that that's a lot to cope with. And then when you don't know how to handle your feelings as a child, then all you know to do is
Yeah.
fight mode.
Right.
So I can understand having issues with anger and things like that because that's how you've had to deal with the cards that you've been dealt, per se. So yeah, that trauma, hopefully you've healed from that. But yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. The healing is an everyday process. It's an everyday process. But again, the turnaround is a gift because there's other families, there's other kids, there's other little boys, there's other little girls who could be coming up in those same footsteps. You see what I'm saying? And I've never been a selfish person. Neither one of you never been selfish people. You love to volunteer at the church. You volunteer your time also in the community, in the church. And I've done it. To those people, and I've said it before in the past on the turnaround, to those people, what they got to understand is that they could come out of those situations too. And I would hope that they would come out those situations and be far even better than what I am. You know what I mean? Because for me, like I say, I put forth a conscious effort. It ain't always easy because at the end of the day, I'm just a human. That's it. But again, life is a gift. It's precious, and I want to savor every moment because it's short lived. But to bring you two together is, like I say, humongous. TJ, you got anything? TJ, real quick.
Knowing that you all have listened to some of the podcasts, when you Brooklyn, you might have talked to your mom, or your mom might have spoken about, maybe, I don't know if she did or not, but just knowing that Squirt was going to be telling some stories and talking about the family and his experience and stuff like that. When y'all first learned about the Turnaround podcast, Did you have any thoughts? Were you excited for it? Were you have any trepidation about what would he talk about? Will he talk about me? Were there any thoughts around the podcast that you had, just knowing that it was coming out and or that it was already out when you started listening?
I didn't have any concerns. To be honest, when Squirt told me he was starting a podcast, I was like, "Who's about to listen to that?" Like, I'm sorry, because
Yeah, that's what's up.
this is a running joke I had with my dad, and I told Squirt this too. But I remember one time I don't even remember what we were talking about, but me and you had a conversation, and then later that day or that week, I spoke to my dad, and I was like, "Yeah, I was talking to Squirt." And you know how sometimes you get on your tangents and it's all out of love. Like, you give me what your life lessons and stuff, but sometimes I'm not in the space to receive it. And I'm just like, oh, here he go. So I told my dad, I was like, I got to take Squirt in doses. Like, it's doses, small doses. So I'm like, who about to listen to Squirt talk on a podcast?
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried at all. I'm like, whatever he say. But no, in all seriousness, seeing like how it's grown, I'm proud of it, and I'm like happy that it's here, and it's definitely a gift. Like, I agree with that, but I'm not worried at all. I feel like I'm an open. I mean, mom's also tends to be an open book, like how I said the way she spoke to me when I was a kid. So I don't think she would have an issue with sharing what happened, and you already did. But no, I didn't have any reservations.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah.
That's cool. I was excited. And I didn't know what to expect. I was like, this is about to be entertaining, if nothing else, because you're so much like Dad. The things that you say and how your mannerisms is hilarious. So I knew that it's gonna be a ride. So I was looking forward to it.
That's what's up. Yeah, we growing it. It's fairly new. Yeah, and I started the turnaround. We was just doing phone conversations.
Do either of you feel like, from what you have listened to so far, Brooklyn, you're funny talking about he goes on his tangents and stuff like that. But did you feel like you've learned more about him? Do you feel like you know him better now and it put some things into perspective for you from listening to the turnaround?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's what I was speaking to. And when you asked what I learned that I didn't know about you before listening to the podcast, pre-turnaround, I remember thinking, like, Squirt's always so, like, why you gotta take it there? Like, something happens, it's like 0 to 100. Like, why is it 0 to 100? Like, why are we going 25, 40, set? Like, it's no, 0, 100. But that explains why. And I think, like, also what's made me more empathetic, not only to you, but like just taking a step back to people in general, because you never know like why someone acts the way they do, and it's important to give grace when you can give it. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's broadened my perspective in those ways.
I feel like, yeah, I've learned a lot more about who you are as a person and all your other experiences outside of what we've shared, especially not growing up together. So I already felt like there was some missing pieces there, because it's like you don't really fully know a person until you live with them,
No.
to be honest. And so I didn't get that. So I only experience what I see when we come in contact. So the podcast has helped me to know you better, and like how you think and your other experiences in life and how they make you who you are.
Right.
Squirt, how often were you going back and forth to Edenton, like as a kid?
Almost every summer. Almost every summer. When we was out of school. Yep. I would go up there, and somehow, what few older cousins we do have, like Eugene, Willie, Man, Nora, all of us pretty much hung tight because we was the only ones. Manzi, then think they end up moving. Bobo ended up moving. So those experiences up there I'll never forget those experiences. In grandma's household, the smell of her grits would wake you up first thing in the morning. You could be in a dead sleep, but the smell of her grits would wake you up. And you was thankful. But yeah, Edenton, that's why I always say, because that's what I am. I was born in Edenton. I was raised in Durham. So My heart is in both places, half Edatonian, half Durhamite. But yeah, the way we grow up, it does shape our experiences and who we are and things like that. And I had to actually learn that about myself, that those experiences, as I like reconciled with myself at some point in time, I put it together and it hit me why I'm the way I am. Some people didn't or don't understand it, and that's fine because I don't understand everything. But yeah, that's why the temperament was so short fused. Baby sis, Kristal, you my little sister, that's my baby sister. But that's baby sis said I could take them in small doses. When I got word of that, I had to think, what does she mean by that? Like small doses. We come from different decades.
Different ball game.
But I call Brooklyn when I get dressed a lot of times, and it's something that a lot of folk don't know. But I call Brooklyn a lot of times. I might even have to get her to video chat with me because certain colors mess with my eyes anyway. So I be like, look, Brooke, is this matching?
Are you colorblind?
Certain colors. But yeah, if Brooke tell me, yeah, big bro, then I come out the house with some confidence.
Oh,
Yeah, but colors, certain colors can play on my eyes. It'll look one way to me, and it be all off. And then I come out the house looking like got dressed in the dark. Some people do that.
It's really just anytime he has a monochromatic look in mind. You know how different pieces of clothing, it might be red and red, but it's not the same. And it's no, we're not doing
Yeah.
that's hilarious to me.
Yeah, I won't never known to be no dresser anyway. I won't. Now my boys, they was into the polos, the heel figures, and we was coming up, and that was the difference when the dynamics and the thinking and the upbringing. They getting up, going to school, polo shirts on, trying to look fly for the girls. That was their mindsets back then. When we was in middle school, and what you didn't know at that time, me, a couple of other dudes, we was coming up with fantastic stories so we could skip school just so we can go do B&Es and armed robberies at that time.
Wow.
Man, as middle school kids,
Middle school.
yeah, we was in the mix. It's just wild,
Yeah.
just wild. You know what I mean? But again, that's what the turnaround is about. We was committing armed robberies as middle school kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah, me and a couple of dudes. I ain't gonna say no name, but they know who they are.
Squirt. You've told me that before, but that just made me think. I feel like, and it might just be me, but you hear about kids doing things that you wouldn't ever think of. Kids,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, they must be coming from. But I feel like, aside from the stuff that you did go through, in general, you were in a relatively stable household. What led you to do those things? Was it your friends you had, or
Yeah, like I said, other kids might have had the polos, the heel figures, the nauticas, and I didn't have those type of clothes. But I'd have sweatsuit that just say sweatsuit. Versus this guy got the polo sweatsuit or the Adidas sweatsuit or the Puma sweatsuit with the Pumas to go with it or the Adidas to go with it. I didn't dress like that coming up. So when you get picked on by your age mates and then yeah, hanging with guys in the neighborhood that had that type of a thinking and that mindset. So when the idea was surfaced, I didn't turn the opportunity down. That's just being dumb.
So you weren't the mastermind. You was just part of the crew.
No, sometimes I might will be like, we called it ganking. We called it ganking. That was a West Coast terminology that we adopted because we was like heavy NWA fans, and that was code for it. Man, some of the fellas they'll tell you. Y'all know some of the boys. They'll tell you. They could tell you like they getting off the school bus, but a situation that happened where we in handcuffs while they getting off the school bus and we getting led off to the detention center. Like what? But those just the type of things I was involved in. You know, I said just coming out of the house and just being out in the communities. And, times were different back then, and we would walk to neighborhoods to seek out to go play basketball and stuff like that, and just get into mischief sometimes along the way. Fights. Like I said, I had certain homeboys. That's what they did. So when I was with them, that's what we did. Yeah, by the time I hadn't gotten into high school, I pretty much was, yeah, I was well seasoned at committing crimes. So when I did the prison time, I felt like I deserved to be there. And I've said it before because I was doing all of the right things to send me to prison. You see what I'm saying? It just, when it catches up with you, and it caught up with all of us, because everybody back then at some point in time, because we was doing stuff. And then too, mom was raising me and bruh by herself. So she would work one job and get off and then go to another job. So she really couldn't be there to, you see what I'm saying? And but she was trusting that I'd do the right thing. And sometimes I got little bruh I'd hit the streets. And like I said, times were different. They got this little saying now, we outside. That ain't, nah. Literally, we was outside. That's how we grew up. We was outside.
Yeah, I think it has a different meaning now.
I bet it do. I don't even know what it means.
It means after being confined from COVID, we outside.
Oh.
We can have fun.
Oh,
didn't
that's
know
not what I was
the
going.
meaning
See, we
I
got different perceptions. Because
What
if
do you
I
mean?
say I'm outside, I'm on a yacht, like shaking something.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, it just means like
Just
having
having fun.
fun. Yeah, having
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's
Like-
a double meaning there.
Or you could get off work and be like, I'm outside just because you're not at
Yeah.
work no more.
I'm
Like,
free.
yeah, we about
Yeah.
to have a drink, do something.
Yeah, it's
See.
got multiple meanings there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
I
Well,
didn't think about it from that standpoint. until you
Yeah.
said that.
I,
That too, though, especially like post pandemic.
I didn't know how to take it. Because I don't see nobody outside. The kids don't play outside.
They don't be outside. They be in the house
Nice.
playing games and stuff. That's what's wrong with
Go to the parks, you don't see nobody out there hooping. Like I said, when we were growing up, we was outside. We went from neighborhood to neighborhood. And we knew going into this neighborhood, we're going to have to fight to either get into the park or fight to get out the park.
Wow.
But we coming. Because we going to do both.
That's a hard life.
I
I don't want to fight when I go outside. No.
want to sip a little
I
Capri
want to
Sun.
have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah,
want to
well, thankful for it.
icy. Like, it was totally different.
Yeah,
Experience.
yeah.
But you was a boy too.
Yeah, that's why I say I'm thankful for it. You, in my opinion, you should be comfortable because you just can't always talk your way out of a situation.
Well, yeah. Sometimes you do.
Sometimes you might have to
have a
actually.
little action.
Have you been in a
Action.
fight, Crystal?
I have.
Oh, Kristal can handle her business.
I figured when you said, so it's funny that you said that. And then the fact that you said like being a protector is like an older sibling thing. Cause I've never had a fight. I've never been in a
Really?
fight. Yeah. But then like when people ask, oh, Brooklyn, like not that I don't have a fighting spirit. But everyone's normally
Yes.
been in a fight. And they're like, why haven't you been in a fight? And I've just never had
Just never
to.
happened. Yeah.
I'm a little sibling. So I can call people.
Okay.
Or really, it's never really gotten to that. I don't call Squirt because Squirt is a last resort call. Because
Yes.
if we call Squirt, somebody's not leaving. Somebody's not
It's
leaving.
gonna be a problem.
Yeah, But the one, I've had 2 almost fights. And by almost, I mean I called my mom. And she saved me.
Oh.
And I wasn't embarrassed. Because I'm just like, I'm not going to fight. You want to fight me? I'm not fighting.
I couldn't even.
I feel like if it got to it, I mean, I would if I needed to, but it's
Yeah.
never gotten to where we right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to separate myself.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't go looking for fights. Like, I'm a friendly person. I like to have fun and I like to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But I just ran into, it was like 2 times that I had to fight because I had to fight. Like, I was just outside minding my business.
That's how it is.
I was just chilling. And this girl, she was known for being a bully, though, in town or in our neighborhood. And she came and accused me of talking about her mother or whatever. And I was like, I don't even know your mother. What are you talking about? I ain't saying nothing about your mama. And she's like, I'm gonna F you up and all this stuff. And I was like, look, I don't want to fight. I just came outside to play, okay? But she didn't want to hear that. She put her hands on me, so I responded.
That's right.
Okay.
What you do?
And we was out there tussling by the clothesline in Brick City. And my little brother, I don't know where he came from. I don't think you ever met him. No,
I don't.
you haven't.
Travis. Oh, Travis.
Yeah. He came out of nowhere. He bit the piss out of that girl. It was ridiculous. It's hilarious thinking about it now because I didn't even know that he was in the vicinity because
Yeah.
I was like out here, I'm trying to defend myself. And he just came out of nowhere and I just heard her like, ah! He sunk his teeth into her.
That's a
was
real
weak.
brother.
Listen,
Yes.
I was like, where did you come from? He was like, Ain't nobody gonna be fighting my sister. I said, it's okay. I was winning.
I know that's right. I didn't say you got your business.
He helped me seal the deal, though.
Right.
Ridiculous. The other time I had a fight, it was petty. I was dating this guy, and we were at his house, me and him. She evidently, I don't know what he might have been telling her on the side or whatever, but she came with two of her friends in the house as I was sitting on his lap. And when she bust through the door, I was like, okay, it's about to happen.
Oh, God.
I stood up and met her. I was like, no, ma'am. That went down. And he was just sitting there. And the other two girls was just looking because I thought they might want to get some action, but they didn't get involved, thankfully. But yeah, after that, I never saw her again.
I bet you didn't.
Girl, it was ridiculous.
Mm.
My dad used to say, if anybody ever put their hands on you, you try your best to kill them. And I was like, kill? I don't want to kill nobody.
That sounds like something Squirt would say.
Well, that's how he, yeah.
But he was a boxer.
Mm.
And then he used to do taekwondo too. So, like, he was a fighter. So it was like, you going to be a fighter too.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's good to know how.
right. Yeah. I would rather know how and not need it
Mm-hmm.
than to have to get into something and can't. That
Right.
would not be good.
For me, once I learned about our dad, it like his background, then I understood where I get the emotions from and the athletic side of me. Our mom was a cheerleader in high school. I don't believe she actually played a sport, but she cheerleaded.
Cheerleading is a sport.
It is.
Yeah. I'm talking about like track and field or basketball or something, but she cheerleaded. So yeah, it is. Then her sisters played softball. And I think some of her brothers play football and basketball too. But yeah, I wrestled in middle school. And then coming up, like I say, back then it was like if you didn't fight, you'd get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Growing up in Walltown and when I would come home to Edenton in the summer times, going out there on the playground. Back then a lot of kids played at the playground and a lot of fights sometimes would, take off out there like that. And I never shied away from it. But now I know why. It was there. It was always on the inside. But yeah, but again, just to have you two guys on a turnaround is a fantastic episode. Is there anything, first of all, both of you take a second real quick, let people know how they can, if you want to, let people know how they can catch up with you, whether it be what they do, the TikTok thing, whether it be your TikTok, your Snapchat, the IG. What do you want people to know? How can they follow you?
My Instagram is ibrookie with 3 Y's. So IBROKYYY. My TikTok is the same, but I don't really use my TikTok anymore.
On Instagram, my name is KRISTAL_SONGBYRD_ like Michael.
Y'all would like anybody to know? Got a message for Josh? Anybody you want to send some love to?
Well,
Yeah. We're at the turnaround. They say they outside. We're at the turnaround.
we had the turnaround.
We're at the turnaround.
Hey, hello to all my family and friends, dad, mom. Let's see, my husband, of course.
It's
Aunt.
only right. It's only right.
Yeah, and then Josh, love you. All our aunties and uncles, everybody that's listening. Just glad to be here.
Yeah, that's what's up. What about you, Brooke?
I don't have any shout. Dang, you shout out everybody. I guess I should shout out my parents. Love you guys, mom and dad. Thank you, Squirt, for having me.
Yes.
Having me and Kristal. No, that's it. And we outside.
Yeah.
Outside.
Yeah.
Hey.
We'll eventually get around to doing a part 2 or a reunion. You know what I'm saying? We'll eventually get around to doing a part 2. And maybe we'll talk about some aspect of things that we might not have got into in particular this go around. But again, like I said, I have no words to express what this meant to me and what this means to me. I can't wait till and I meant to go live on IG for a few little minutes. But yeah, like you were just saying to everybody listening, the Turnaround Podcast, it's a gift. And always say this, we talk about real social dilemmas and real life issues. And I love to be sometimes super loose and party and goof off, but that's not what the turnaround. What we set out to do is to be silly and to be goofy. We're gonna have our fun, trust me. But we want to help better the society and the community and do our part in whatever magnitude we can. And if just help guiding somebody's decision making, whether it be he or she, that they don't take the same paths that I took for whatever their reasons could be on the inside that makes them the way they are, then I felt like me and TJ and Mac have done our job with the podcast, and you guys as contributors in the form of guests to the turnaround, because these things do happen in the household and in the community and in society. And a lot of people, like you were saying a little earlier, they are embarrassed by it, shamed by it, whatever. And everybody deals with adversities differently. You know what I mean? And I always say this to people who's listening out there, we all gonna go through adversities. It don't matter about what we believe in, don't matter about our race or how much money we got or how much money we don't got. We're humans and we're living life on life terms. We're going to go through hardships and ups and downs. But at the end of the day, it's all about how we respond to them. And you guys know that. Playing basketball as a contractual player internationally, that's where I began to learn the business side of basketball and sports and how to be a professional. And that translates today in life for me, having coaching high school varsity boys and girls. I'm not going to disclose my school's current location, but I got varsity boys, private school, and I love it. Teaching these little young fellas how to approach this sport. And for the ones who want to seek it on a higher level, they can do that. But I'm going to give them the ingredients and the recipe that go into it, because I got off to a late start. And had I would have focused on that earlier in life, instead of skipping school, going to go commit BNEs, armed robberies, if I would have been more focused on sports, then I could have gotten to the NBA. I got emails and call ups in my 30s, and that was only because of a inside resource. But still, I got the invite to come work out for two different NBA developmental league teams where they develop players to play in the NBA. Didn't make either one of those roster spots, but I learned playing against that type of a competition, trying to earn a spot in a developmental league, which in some people's eyes is nothing. Cool, I don't care. But it's the principle that I follow my passion. And I have a Aunt Faye, Aunt Janice. She brought me like a recorder, or I think some people call them a diary or something like that, whatever. Keep your memories. I wrote in the back in 85, 86, 87, and I was expressing how much I love basketball and that I was going to play one day as a professional. I wrote that back then, and I'm going to put some pics on IG displaying that. That was my mindset back then. And then fast forward. But I wouldn't say last, but any outro remarks y'all got before we wrap this thing up here at the Turnaround Podcast?
Yeah, I'll say I want to tell you that I respect what you're doing. The Your why is important, and remembering that as you go forward will do nothing but continue to catapult the podcast.
Right.
I feel like young people do need to hear from someone who's experienced some pitfalls here and there in life so that they're able to make better decisions. I want to applaud you for doing that, and I wish you great success in what you're doing. And also, when you were talking about your boys that you're coaching and even the girls that you have coached before that, it's like you are assuming the role of a father. And that's important because a lot of times, depending on our situation, most of us have not had the luxury of having a father in the home, so you don't necessarily know how to be one, but you're stepping up and you're entering that role for these, even though they may not realize it. Some of them, you may be the only role model that they see that they can liken unto a father. So I want to tell you to just don't lose sight of that
Appreciate it.
as you continue to coach and pour into them what you know and what you're passionate about, because you're going to see the fruit of it soon.
I appreciate that. That's what's up. That's what's up. And so far, I believe I've done a great job or a really good job with it because, and I be thinking that I don't get through to these young people, but when the season is over with and they surprise me with gifts, especially but the most important ones or the ones that really break me down when I'm at home alone and I actually cry, they write, they might get me a card and they'll all sign it with whatever they want to say to me. They all sign it and just reading those remarks, and I'm just like, wow. So that to me at this level is humongous. Those how they express themselves like that. But yeah, so I appreciate that. Brooke, any outro remarks? Any last outro remarks you could think of for anybody?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Yeah, one of our cousins is celebrating her 40th. And so she doing the 80s and 90s theme. Started to throw some shell to Adidas on, but they were all white. So I said, nah, I ain't gonna do that. But yeah, TJ, what up? You got any outro remarks, anything for us, bro?
No, man, but I appreciate you both. You were great guests. I don't know if this is your first podcast, was it? As a guest?
Yes.
Awesome. You did great. You did great. So thank you. Thank you very much for your time today. And Squirt did a great job. I knew he would. Great storyteller. And everybody knows I've known Squirt for over 20 years now. And he loves y'all. And so that's very clear. So I'm glad that y'all were able to share this moment with each other. And that's it, man. I know y'all got to wrap it up and get
Yeah.
on out of that studio.
Yeah, but
So,
before we do,
yeah.
I didn't fully really get to introduce my sisters to you. So real quick, bro, just let them know our history. Let them know.
Yeah, so we met in Durham when I was living there for a while. I was there for about 7 years in the area. And so I remember you, Brooklyn, as a little girl. And even got to come down to Edenton one time and stay at your grandmom's house, who was dope, and the food was amazing. So I do remember that also. So yeah, but we've been rocking out ever since, and just listening to him talk. I'm a little older than Squirt, so I probably got longer stories than he does. But so I respected the game early, and I really appreciated what he'd been through and the fact that he was still standing. And so I promised him back then that we was going to tell the story somehow. And we started out trying to write it, do a book for it. And now podcasting became a thing. And I said, this will be better if you're able to tell your story from your perspective out your own mouth. And he likes to make up words and talk about things, and it just works. It just works. It just works. So yeah, that's our history, and it's a great podcast, and it's only up from here. Thank y'all for contributing to it.
And my aunt Pat used to always ask about you too.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So yeah, y'all, we at the Turnaround Podcast. And you guys, for those who don't know, we at the Turnaround underscore podcast, Spotify. Yeah, TJ, how can they get linked in? Plug.
Yeah, everywhere you can stream podcasts, that's where we at. And you can go to Linktree, linktr.e/turnaround pod. And you can find all the links there. There's articles, there's the website is there, and the videos are there. The video of this will be on the YouTube soon. And yeah, it's gonna be good. Anywhere you look in, that's where you find it. Turnaround Podcast.
Yeah, and like always, huge respect goes out to Mac, who is the CEO of Tune Recording Studios. Mac is resilient, and he's the epitome of someone who sets goals and then accomplishes those goals. You see what I'm saying? So we instantly could relate. And when he first started out to this point where he's at now, I watched him take those gradual steps. And for me, it's just been nothing but super respect. So to Mac, bro, I love you, homie. And like I said, we're going to pick the volume up in a minute. So the turnaround with Mac and with TJ, they got this thing looking super superb, in my opinion. We on our way out. Again, I just want to say thank you to everybody who followed the Turnaround Podcast. I appreciate you, all our family members, all our friends, all Kristal and all Brooklyn family members and friends. We appreciate everybody. And let's just be safe out there and let's try to exercise intelligence. That's what I'm working on, just to try to always work on getting better. I got that workhorse mentality. God bless the dead. Cole called it Mamba mentality. Whatever we need to do to get in that mindset, we just push forward. I love both of you from the bottom of my heart, and I super appreciate you guys. Like TJ said, taking time to come and break bread at the turnaround.